Bibliophiles of the internet, my name's Adriana, and today I'm here to bring you a Top 5 Wednesday video, and today's topic is our Top 5 Spring Reads. Obviously, this topic is up for interpretation. We can talk about anticipated spring releases or recommendations or books that remind us of spring, or like I chose, our top spring TBR books. First, I want to talk about a book I've been hankering to reread literally since the second I finished it, and that's In Other Lands by Sarah Reese Brennan. This is a delightful queer fantasy romp about a hopelessly obnoxious boy named Elliot who realizes he can see the invisible wall that leads to this place called the Borderlands that other humans cannot. So he's presented with a choice: carry on with his life as he's always known it, or cross over into this magical world and start developing a very different kind of skill set. Because he really has nothing and no one to lose, he decides to live in the Borderlands, where he discovers that he has so much more to give than anyone ever thought. Like I said, I'm dying to revisit this one, and what's so great is that my friend Kathy is hosting a read-along for this book next month as a way to celebrate her birthday, and I am definitely gonna participate. I will leave her announcement video and all the dates down below in case you would also like to read this fabulous book. If you want to read a side-splittingly hilarious satirical fantasy that's equal parts thoughtful and soft with character development that will sucker punch you in the feels, then this is your book, and that's all I'm gonna say about that. Next, I have to mention an incredible comic that y'all need to be reading right the fuck now, and that's the Avant Gardes by Carly Usden and Noah Hayes. If you know anything about my brand, you already know this is a queer sports comic. The tagline is that this story is like Giant Days meets Check Please, and that is exactly the case. This takes place in an all-female college focused on the school's basketball team, which doesn't have enough eligible members to even be considered a team in the first place. That is, until they meet Charlie, who's a new transfer student. But while she has a history of being a star basketball player, there's also something that happened with her old team that made her really want to distance herself from the sport. However, the prospective team captain, Liv, is determined to make this team happen and to counter every single one of Charlie's deflections. All she and her ragtag crew have to do is figure out what it's going to take to make Charlie say yes. I've already read the first 2 issues of this series, pre-ordered the next issue which comes out later this month, and pre-ordered the first trade paperback volume because it is that great. There's some chemistry between Liv and Charlie, the entire cast is an all-black female cast, the series explores bonds of friendship and love on and off the court. There is nothing else I shall want. It's a series that will make you laugh and swoon, that will fill your heart with hope and joy, and that's really what we deserve when it comes to quality comics. The next book I definitely want to read this spring is The Kingdom of Copper by S.A. Chakraborty, which is the sequel to The City of Brass. To summarize the first book, it's historical fantasy rooted in Islamic mythology about Nadi, an 18th century con woman living in Cairo who absolutely does not believe in magic. Until one day when she speaks an ancient language that nobody knows and accidentally summons forth a jinn warrior, Dara, which draws the attention of several mystical creatures and endangers her life. Now she has to seek refuge in the fabled City of Brass, which turns out to be on the brink of war itself, and her sudden appearance is about to shift the tides. Ever since I read City of Brass in early 2018, I have not stopped thinking about what my reading experience was like, because it was a truly magical, immersive, unforgettable first book. And when we left off, Nadi was kind of backed into a corner in a very precarious political situation, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what she's gonna do next. The next book that's firmly on my radar is The True Queen by Zen Cho. This is a companion novel to Sorcerer to the Crown, which I read, reviewed, and recommended a couple of years ago, and I completely stand by my undying love of that book 100%. This is another whimsical Regency fantasy story about 2 sisters, Muna and Saki, who find themselves cursed and on an island where Saki is slowly starting to fade from existence. So the only way to break the curse is for Muna to go to Britain, where the Sorceress Royal has established the first academy to train women in magic. But now she has to navigate high society and make all these English magicians believe that she is this prolific sorceress so that she can change her sister's fate. In the first book, Zen Cho was so triumphant in discussing privilege, racism, sexism, and how all of these things get tangled up in the formation of societal norms. There's really fascinating and complex intersections between privilege and magic, and who is granted the opportunity to exact change in this world through these extraordinary means, and it's all executed in extremely clever and thoughtful ways. Sorcerer to the Crown was an absolute delight, and I think this book is definitely going to live up to that. And lastly, I really have to get to Dragon Pearl by Yoon-ha Lee. This is Yoon-ha Lee's new Own Voices middle grade sci-fi story about Min, whose family is forbidden from using any of their fox magic to charm or shapeshift. They must always remain in their human forms. Min obviously resents these restrictions, and she would like nothing more than to escape her home planet and join her older brother in the Space Forces. Until word comes back that her brother Jun is suspected of abandoning his post in search of the Dragon Pearl, which Min instantly knows is something he would never do in a million years. And that's all she needs to hear before she's off in search of her brother in order to clear his name and bring him back safe. If there is one thing Yoon-ha Lee excels at, and to be clear, he excels at many things, it's writing kick-ass space adventures that center incredibly vivid characters, and here I expect nothing less. From the second this book was announced, I knew it was going to be incredible because his 9 Fox Gambit series is an absolute triumph. I have to read this one soon because I just don't know what I'm going to do with myself if I don't. So those are just 5 books I'd like to get to over the next few months. If you have any favorite books that remind you of spring or books that you're looking forward to reading this season, let me know what those would be in the comments below. But that's everything I had for this Top 5 Wednesday today. Thank you so much for watching this video. I really hope that you enjoyed it, and I'll catch you on the flip side of the page.